Test 1, 2.
So I think for the sake of this podcast, we call it the New Orleans Mint Project.
Okay.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Coin Shop Podcast. I'm Matthew Duncan, joined here with Paul Hollis, a Louisiana State representative and also a author of the American Numismatist. And it won an award.
It did. Yep.
I'm not miscorrect. Okay. And sitting here with also Dan Duncan, also known as Uncle Dan. Today we got a very special podcast. We're going to discuss the New Orleans Mint Project here with Dan and Paul. Let's get right into it. But first, Paul, why don't you give us a little background introduction for the listeners that might have missed one of the podcasts previously that we did?
Sure. Yeah. My background?
Yeah, a little background, a little bit, and then how, like, maybe tell us a little bit about how it kind of went into the coins, into what you do now.
When I was a little kid, if you came over to my house and I showed you a coin and you didn't get all excited, I'd scratch you off my friend list because I expected you to love coins, and if you didn't have an appreciation for them, well, you weren't my kind of people, you know.
Yeah.
So, but after college, I went to work with a big coin company in New Orleans, and then I left and went out on my own. And then I got mixed up in politics. I say mixed up, I'm teasing. I actually had the great pleasure, honor to serve the people of Louisiana in the State House of Representatives, and that was an incredible experience. And in Louisiana, we have term limits, so you're allowed to serve 3 terms of 4 years apiece, which I have done. And towards the tail end of that, I said, do I want to go, full bore into more politics, or do I really want to go back to doing what I truly love, and that's coins? And I've known the Duncan family for a very, very long time, very well respected within the coin industry, one of the, I'd say, top 5 dealers across the country. And in conversations, I said, hey, doing a special... Top 3. Yeah, thank you for that correction. I said, man, It'd be great to do special projects with this team of people that have so much energy and the kind of passion where I know if I were 6 years old and you were hypothetically 6 years old and I showed you a coin, you wouldn't be like some of those guys who are like, I don't get the big deal. You'd be like, wow, this is really cool. And that's a cool thing about, being in our industry. It's like you don't even work because you love every day and you love pretty much every coin that you hold.
Yeah. And you're holding a coin right now. What do you got there?
That's true. It's a 1916S. A lot of people haven't seen, but they're starting to really penetrate the market, CAC certified coins. And this is, I wouldn't call it a key date $20 gold piece, but to me, it's the most beautiful coin that was ever made. Augusta St. Gaudens design. But what's really neat is it's Mint State 66 plus, a whisper away from Mint State 67 grade. And, St. Gaudens, there's so many coins where from one grade to the next, it goes up a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. But from 66 to 67, that price differential is massive. And that's why this coin, at this price point is an incredible value. At Mint State 66 plus, you can just tell that at CAC, they were probably dying to put it in a 67 holder, but they've got a reputation for being very conservative. And it's a good reputation to have as a grading service.
Yeah, I think it's Pop 1. So it
doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
This coin in this high grade, 62s and 3s, not really that consequential. But in this kind of grade, you don't expect to see that date on this particular coin. So it's beautiful. Danny, you love this coin too, huh?
Love it. Yeah. When you see a Saint in premium gem condition like that, they just pop. And like you said,
they do.
It's termed America's most beautiful coin, and there's a reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason they copied it to make a modern bullion.
Right.
Yeah,
which is
true.
the most bought coin today, right?
There it is.
Well, if you show somebody a St. Gaudens and they're not excited about that, then, or a high relief, that to me is one of the most majestic looking coins. And in 2009, y'all remember that tiny ultra high relief? We saw it at the Smithsonian. Yes. And if that coin traded today, no telling, maybe $20 million, probably be worth more than the 33 St. Gaudens. So.
Well, Theodore Roosevelt's push to have those coins redesigned outside of the mint is one of the greatest stories in all of American numismatics. That coin is the beginning of the Renaissance.
Yeah.
And they replaced all the old sculptors with new artists, and the coins out of that early mid-century to the mid-century are spectacular.
Yeah. I remember, in fact, y'all may remember this too. There was a letter written on behalf of the president to the mint saying, I don't care if it takes all day, all night
Yep.
to strike one coin. But I vaguely remember that actual letter going on the marketplace, meaning, the coins are awesome, but the
Yeah.
memorabilia. And,
Right.
and instead of it being, $1 million, it was expensive, but
Right.
it wasn't much more than,
He
maybe
pushed
early
those coinage
six figures.
designs without
That's really
congressional
cool.
without congressional approval. And, I mean, they call it his pet crime. It was
Yeah.
something he was trying to do to make America more beautiful. He wanted the coins of his era to represent the greatest nation in the world.
Yeah. It's amazing, though, that for a period of time they were fairly drab, and then that incredible overhaul, some of the things that we have seen. It took me time, believe it or not. I know this sounds strange, but the $10 Indian, I over time started to appreciate that design. It just took me some time,
I love that design.
And I go to New York a lot because my daughter wants to be on Broadway, but they have a lot of Augustus St. Gaudens design sculptures throughout the city, and because of our collection, our connection to coins, it's like, wow, looky there.
Almost
Right.
all of those sculptors from the Renaissance era are represented in buildings in New York City.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
on the bridges and the different sculptures around,
Yeah,
the bas-reliefs and things that are
I
out
haven't
there.
got to see that. That's super cool.
yeah,
Have to do that one day.
Weinman, McNeil, all those guys.
yeah.
I love the idea of that letter. I wonder where that is.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I don't remember. I think
Have
it's
that
somebody
type of
that we know.
provenance. That's
Yeah, it's somebody that we know. I just don't remember who
Really?
it is, but I thought that's a real neat value.
That's cool. That's
Something cool.
all right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the New Orleans Mint Project.
It's something really exciting. Dan, you want to start or?
So, if any of you have gone to the New Orleans Mint Museum, most of it is jazz, dedicated to jazz, and they've done a fantastic job with that. The coin section of it is very dated and dusty,
Yeah, I
Right.
think that's
literally dusty.
yeah.
And they have called on us through our connections with Paul to renovate the museum itself. We actually have a three-part sort of renovation idea. The first part is to redo the existing exhibit as it in its
right now.
location.
Yeah.
We want to rebuild the permanent collection, which is currently held in very classy Capital Plastic holders.
Yeah.
And the coins
I think
are,
I sensed a whisper of
yeah,
sarcasm.
it's
in that.
a little sarcasm
Yeah.
for a mint to have a collection that
Yeah.
most, 18-year-olds that collect
Right.
have a nicer collection.
Right.
Um,
But that's why
It's-
we're being called upon. Come in there and change it up.
Exactly why.
Yeah.
And we've met with the mint director a couple times, and they're actually very excited about it. They have done a fantastic job with the jazz part of the museum.
Right.
But
And what a cool historical building. I mean,
the
Yeah.
building itself is in
It's
fantastic
amazing,
condition.
right? Yeah, I've
it
seen
really
it on-
is. It really
Yeah.
is. I mean, I've been to the Carson City Mint, and it is, beautifully restored.
Right.
But the New Orleans Mint, for the size and the southern
Right.
Yes.
minting facility,
Just has that presence.
it's pretty incredible. But
Yeah.
and I think it bugged you a little bit too. The first floor Mint, second floor, third floor, other things. And I get
Right.
it, Louisiana jazz and all that. When we were there, they were actually doing a filming of the Today Show, and so every time they'd
wow.
make reference to the majestic building, it wasn't the historic New Orleans Mint, it was the jazz
jazz.
music. And again, I get that, but coin people all across the country, as you can imagine, they're like, celebrated, iconic, and I'm excited to see a generational enhancement.
That building is historic, but it is the oldest existing building that coins were actually struck by the U.S. Mint. All the other ones are gone,
Right.
no longer
Yeah.
around, or have moved
Reef.
to Philadelphia. Has moved
Yeah.
a couple times.
Well, and people drive by and they just have no clue. I mean, it's right there at the foot of the river.
Sure.
It backs up to the French Market. In
Yes.
fact, we walked through the French Market after
You
going
take
to
the
the Mint.
trolley right there.
Yeah,
a
right
block
there.
away.
But it is, it truly is amazing. But the exhibit itself, it needs to be generationally enhanced. And I think
Right.
that's what we're going to work on doing. And then also, some of the coins that are in there leave also a lot to be desired. I don't even remember that many gold coins being in there. And I know if you're like me, a lot of collectors like the idea of exhibiting some
Homemade
of their
gold.
coins,
Right.
know, and that's what we're looking forward to doing, assembling a major collection, but also doing a major enhancement to the facility itself. And that was one of the questions that Danny and I asked is, let's manage expectations. Are we talking 3-6 months? But the reality is probably 2025, I would say.
Yeah.
If
it's
you're
like an 18-month project from
Right.
fundraising through construction.
To do it right.
To do it right.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're going to be redoing not only the the layout and the look of everything, but the coins. There's going to be some events held.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
We want
That's-
to do a little gala at in the opening ceremony. We attended one that was for part of the Jazz Museum.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We'd love to bring in a high-end
Right.
collection.
I could
to
see that.
View,
Yeah.
couple that with some lectures or other events that will bring more of the attention to the coin side
Right.
of the mint than what has currently been drawn to. And
That's
they're open
amazing.
to it.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
From
what an
the
honor.
people at when we sat, everyone that sat at that table was very excited about,
Yeah.
working on something to improve, because they've done so much for the rest of the museum.
Right.
Yeah.
And I went 5 years ago with, we had a coin show in New Orleans with some of our coin
When I
show friends.
visited it.
We
yeah.
had, and we walked through there, we were done with the coin stuff in 10 minutes,
Right.
and very disappointed.
More looking at the building and
And the building
That's-
itself, we
yeah.
walked around looking at
Right.
you walk through a door and you'll see an elevator there.
right.
Yeah.
And you have all these pieces that were there. The women that would do the counting and stuff had to do it in these rooms
Mm-hmm.
without AC, no windows.
Wow.
Right.
Right, because they couldn't. That's
But the story of the mint currently is not being told at the mint,
Yeah.
and they're willing to change that.
yeah.
And folks are interested. You can tell. That was something that we took note of. It wasn't like, the place was unattended. There were a lot of people there. And what that tells me is, there's incredible interest. And I think they probably could have left thinking, wow, that was an amazing exhibit.
Right.
But unfortunately, I don't think they did. And we're going to work to change that. In my visits to the Smithsonian, sometimes you'll have a novice, someone that really doesn't have any real appreciation. This was the old exhibit. They've now made the Smithsonian exhibit, fantastic. But even the old one was smaller than this room. But coins that you and I, the three of us have revered since we were tiny little kids. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody would have knocked the collection or the exhibit, I'd been like, how can you not? But you'd have to have an appreciation and understanding of what was in there. But it was a very small room, so I get it.
Right.
If you didn't know coins, you probably left thinking that wasn't a whole lot. But
Right.
fortunately, the new numismatic collection on display at the Smithsonian, it's not massive, but it's impressive. You walk into a big vault, and we're not using that as a design cue for what we've got in mind for the New Orleans Mint. I think that there's creative minds that you have to work with that are skilled in how museums operate and capture people's attention.
And I think Jeff Garrett was instrumental in working with the Smithsonian. to get that
Smithsonian.
done.
Yeah.
And I think that shows that there are people in our industry that are willing to step forward
Right.
and improve. There's the line that we're conservators.
Mm-hmm.
We don't own these things. We're holding them for the next generation.
Right.
Right.
That building is, a huge part
Right.
of the history of the South, the history of New Orleans. People don't realize New Orleans was a financial powerhouse in the 1830s, 1850s. That's why they put a mint there. That's what, you think about all of the shipping traffic that came in and out of the Gulf and everything. Goods could come down the Mississippi, get unloaded in New Orleans, get loaded onto international ships that went to South America,
Right.
Africa, Europe. This is the story of the mint. This is, it struck coins for the U.S. government and the Confederacy. There's just a lot there that currently isn't getting told.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
cool.
I'm excited to work with them and work closely with them to redo that. So
Right.
we are putting our plans together for that. If you're interested and you want to come talk to me at Central States about it, I would love to talk to people about it. But we're going to start putting that together and hopefully have something for everyone by the ANA.
So, all right, well, let's get back into also the store. I mean, you walked in for very briefly, but the shop has been hectic.
It has. I mean, there's like the bank machine where you have to put your name in, and it just kind of tells you where we're at in the marketplace. So what I mean by that is to get your place in line.
Right,
you know,
right.
You have to
Yeah, the
use
little kiosk.
technology
Yeah.
so that people are comfortable and it's reminiscent of times in the past where you've seen the market really take off. Gold at almost $2,400 an ounce, and more coin collectors now than ever before in history. It really is an exciting time to be in numismatics.
Yeah, the kiosk has definitely come in handy. We added that to the store because of the lines, the waiting, and it's just a great tool we use to help customers be able to go sit in the car and be able to go run an errand and then come back and still save their place in line. So it's been a pretty good addition for us, definitely for the store, and it's definitely kept customers from getting upset. So that's.
Well, I think it's a sign of the time. You know what I'm saying? It's a sign of the time that we're in, when it's not like, it's not like going to a library. When I think of going to a library, kind of stale and quiet, but here it's like things are popping.
Right,
and
now it's moving.
For quite some time, and you'd expect that. I mean, the tangibles markets right now are just, I'm not going to say poised for growth. We're right in that cycle, and it's not a surprise. And you've seen, incredible inflation. People look at the dollar. They know it's worth less today than it was yesterday, and that trend continues and continues and continues. And so they want to own something that's real, that's tangible, that's going to be a store of value. And none of this really surprises me.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. A lot of new customers, a lot of returning customers, and I mean, I don't know what happened, but with the watch market and how it's currently been picking up for us, we've had a lot of new customers just coming in for watches, and
the watch market got so soft. I think people realized
in December
that you can pick up a watch today that a nice Rolex Submariner for several $1,000s less than it would have cost you a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
And half of the watches that you were paying a premium, to get, a lot of customers don't know you can buy them under the retail prices. So it's
the opposite of 2 years ago.
Right. So it's a good opportunity for some of the guys to either trade into what they really wanted and they didn't get to have before, or whatever they're trying to do. Sometimes it's just trading into the metals. Just did a big deal with 4 or 5 watches. Someone's selling back to buy gold, to buy silver. So
that's one thing about collecting watches that's similar to coins, is that you're collecting value.
Right.
If you collect, if you're a fisherman, you eat the fish.
Right.
You collect coins, you have something of value. Maybe worth more, maybe worth less, but you still have it.
Right.
So I also wanted to share today, in the store, we purchased this Fujio cent. Thought it was kind of a cool coin. So it's a 65, and we'll have to get some photos later, but really cool coin and a gem example. I mean, it's probably the first gem I've seen that looks like this. So in the new cat grading holder, it's a cool coin.
Well, we always talk about how coins tell a story, and the Fujio cent is a fantastic story of an early budding economy that was struggling for a universal coin. Yeah.
And you got a lot of the historical parts on the coin that, telling of that time. So it's,
Ben Franklin's Mind Your Business. I mean, the sundial. What I think is neat is
13 rings on the.
Yeah. Cool. And then it says right in the middle, "We are one." It's kind of reminiscent of the continental dollar to a certain degree.
Right.
Also, the chain cent, and we know when that coin came out, people back then were like, "Whoa," because it had negative connotations with the chains of slavery, and so it was almost immediately discontinued. But when you see the rings on the back of the Fujio cent all encircled, I mean, it really is cool. I think chain cent, and I think a continental dollar when I look at this piece.
Yeah. What do you think your favorite part of our store at U.S. Coins, like coming down to the retail store? What do you think stands out to you? Obviously the coins stand out because you've been doing coins since you were younger. But you see the watches and the paper money, and you see the, I'll just say, like, for me, it's like keeping just a neat environment for collectors of all to come in and kind of unite and be able to, talk about either their coins or their watches or, if it's, it could be something that maybe they weren't into coins, but it was passed down, and it could be a $20 coin, but it's just the sentimental value
Yep.
behind it. So
for me, it's that's an easy answer. The energy. When you come when you come down Katy Freeway, it's not a building, it's buildings plural, and you come inside and you always feel welcome. You're always greeted by knowledgeable, smiling faces. What I like is the broad range of generations that are involved. And I think that speaks to the future of coins and our industry. But when I come in here, it's just an always upbeat feeling. You see customers with, like you had said, all kinds of different stories on their item, getting top dollar for whatever they've got half the time, and half the time they're walking out of here with merchandise, be it gold bullion or collectible coins like these, or sports memorabilia, or any kind of collectible that you can fathom. I'm just telling you, when I come here, it's nothing but smiles. And in a lot of office buildings, it's the opposite. Frowns. Here, it's smiles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And that, that's what makes this New Orleans project such a cool part, because I feel like giving time and taking a little time, really putting, building out the museum, bringing in the coins, having the gala, the events, and bringing in new potential collectors is part of that's our biggest part of our job. So I feel like, you give a little time, but you might get the next kid or older, just someone into collecting coins. And I think, for us, that's probably the most important. So being able to put on these events, being able to, we have the National Coin Week coming up, and we have some celebrities and people that are going to be in the shop, signings every day, even treasure hunt. So this is all a tell to just building more collectors and bringing, even though you collect cards, come to U.S. Coins, you collect watches, come to U.S. Coins.
So when we were in New Orleans, Paul took me to a car museum. I was reluctant. Mm-hmm. But it was such an interesting glimpse into the mind of a collector. The man that assembled this car collection is a true collector.
Right.
Paul's failure to sell him coins is on him.
That's earned. I'll take
own
that.
it.
But
own it.
I don't know how many cars. 150.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd take maybe the over.
I'd take the over.
I'd take the over on that. Some really neat stuff. The first Magnum PI Ferrari.
The first Batmobile
cool.
First
from the
Batmobile.
1950s.
Oh, wow.
Pre-television show Batmobile.
Yeah.
Pre-Adam
Wow.
West Batman.
I don't know anything about that.
Okay, but Adam West was the Batman on TV when
Okay,
I was a kid.
Yeah.
This was before that.
A limo
Wow.
from the JFK.
Yeah.
Not the actual limo.
I think it was a
Right.
Chevette, he said. Chevette?
I don't
or
remember.
Chevelle or something.
But
they-
McLarens and Ferraris, and
He's
but that's
got-
Lotus. But those are the more modern collection.
Yeah,
But it was
I
the
asked
antique.
do you have a
cars that
Shelby?
were
He's like, I got
four.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
Right.
I always-
What color? You know?
Yeah.
They're,
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
$300,000. They're probably worth twice that now because
Yeah, it's-
the collectibles markets
But-
and cars.
So he collected cars. He sells all of his cars. He begins to collect toys.
Mm-hmm.
He fills a room with vintage toys,
Yeah.
vintage pinball machines.
That's cool.
He's got one room or a hallway that's full of these old machines, the old like turn it, and there's
Right.
a little picture show.
Yeah.
Fortune teller. I see you
Fortune
winking.
teller.
Fortune teller.
Fortune teller. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing. But the guy was a collector, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of us, especially the people we run into, are collectors, and some of us gravitate to sports cars, some of us gravitate to cars, some of us to coins. But that mindset, that I wrote an article 30 years ago that said people are like crows. We like things big and shiny,
Right.
and that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We love to collect, and I think once you get that bug, and that's to me the best thing about the store is you can feed a lot of different collectors.
Right.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know, I mean, and Paul walked in today and was like, "Whoa, those are so colorful," and talking about the Frankie Cardonas.
Oh,
Those are
yeah.
beautiful.
An
Yeah.
art collector
Yeah.
that collects art and coins, that is the perfect merger. I mean,
Right.
they're
And to be able to take a coin that a customer owns and
Yes.
be able to put it on something they can see, constantly where they don't have to go to their lockbox or wherever they
Well,
store their
and
expensive coins. And,
Yeah, and Frankie's work is modern.
right. He brings it to a whole new.
It's a whole
yeah,
new.
yeah.
So
With
you
the
know,
colors
so
and
yeah.
he put that gold flake in there on,
Yes.
on some of the coins, and
Like I can
it's
see
amazing
that
what
in
he
your
can do.
office. I don't see that in your father's office.
right. It doesn't speak
It
to
is.
everyone.
It's very hip. It's of
It's
the
hip.
day,
It's-
and but it screams at you because I haven't
It
been to
does.
the store
Yeah.
in a while, and I come in, I'm like,
If you
whoa,
don't know
I see
what
all
we're
that
talking
color.
about, check it out.
Yeah,
Yep.
we should
Frankie
show
Cardona.
some
Come on in.
B-roll
Yep.
footage too, because I mean, it
Yep.
really is magnificent. It's
Yes.
the best numismatic kind of artwork that I've ever seen. It
Yeah.
really is
Yeah.
that stunning.
I think it's more
massive, too.
visually appealing than the Peter Mac stuff. That's very popular.
It is. It depends. Like it's definitely dependent on what coin, if it's paper money or coins,
Right.
to the collector. But he's done some amazing work, and we've had some customers really fall in love with the
Sure.
art, and that's why we have the prints coming. Thank you for waiting
Right.
very patiently.
And I
But
think that's
the
thing.
numbered prints are coming.
That's the thing. We're all
Yeah.
collectors at heart. U.S. Coins and Jewelry, while we can't feed everyone,
Right.
it does a really good job with touching on all the collectible arenas with real stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that I want to go back. I'm sorry, but so with the car collector, I would like to know what his favorite car that he's ever collected. I know he's had so many, but I always find it interesting that when you ask that with coin collectors, it's not always the most expensive coin.
Nick
It's
Algaretti.
Right. It could be like we talked about the sentimental value, but it also, you see coins, and like for us, we see, so many coins every day.
Sure.
And you run across a coin that might be a $500 coin or a $200 coin, and you rarely see that coin that looks with that look. And
Sure.
when coins speak like that to you, or cars or watches, vintage watches, to me that's one of the cooler parts during the collecting is when you run across those items. Yeah. So
Yeah, and I wish I could tell you. I've not asked that gentleman, and I will next time I see him. It'd be interesting to see.
right.
But you're right. I wouldn't bet that it would be the most expensive. It's probably something else that he's got a connection with, and
Right.
for
Right.
whatever reason. And
Always
I get
wanted-
curious about
Chevy.
that.
The
Yeah.
old
Yeah.
Chevy.
Yeah.
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be one of mine for sure.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
I like some
Next
of the
time you're in
vintage.
New Orleans, we'll take the gang to go check it out, because
Cool.
a lot of people think it's an open museum for anybody and everybody, but it's not. Private collector, and you make an appointment if he's your friend, and you get to check it out. So
How cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And we walked up, and Paul's father's car was sitting on the jack.
Yeah,
Paul's
right.
Are you?
I told a little story about that. I accidentally left a roast beef when I was a kid. I used to drive a McLaren. The plate said McLaren, and we'd store it over at this gentleman because he had lots of space. And I accidentally left a roast beef po' boy in the trunk. And we didn't drive the car very often. And you can imagine, a couple of weeks into it, they're like, "What's going on with the McLaren?" Turns out that was me. I didn't get to
Wow.
drive the McLaren too much after that.
The roast beef. That's I'm sure everyone's got stories like that. I think one
Yes.
time I was in my dad's an older car, and I think I clicked the back then you could like even out the miles if you like
Oh, right.
click the little and so I think I went like, oh, what's this, and I was like, oh shoot, and same thing. Dad was
Okay.
like, why would you do that? So it's very funny when I hear that, because I know I'm not the only one. Or when Coinstar was popular, and we took, I think I had one of those 5-gallon jugs. I don't know. We always used to do that, and I took it to Coinstar. My dad was like,
Probably not
look,
excited.
yeah,
about
look
that.
with it. I can't believe, look at all this money. It is, but
You just paid 3%.
right, yeah, you just paid whatever.
It happens.
8% or 5%. Yeah, it's crazy. You take it to the bank. So, well, cool. Well, this has been a great episode. Lots of information. So thank you very much for being here. Thanks, Uncle Dan.
I made it.
Paul made it. Everyone's here. So, we'll be touching back on this. I'm sure we'll have you back out, and
love to give you updates
we'll do a
as
little
things
more
happen.
update. And if you do see Dan at the show, don't forget to
Come by
ask
soon.
him about it, because it's gonna take the coin
village.
community, and it's not only coins that I want to donate this coin or want to put this coin in the museum, but it's the time. I think that's probably the most valuable. So Yeah. But thank you for watching. Thanks.
All right.
Yeah. Coin Shop Podcast. Thank you all for being here, and we'll see you on the next one coming up.